I'm Shane Nyland, and my co host is Blake Musser. And these stories you're about to hear are from Weapons Company, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, 1st Marine Division, about the events surrounding and directly from the mouths of the people who were in Ramadi 2004.
Nice. All right, well, let's tell everybody who you are and what rank you were in 2004.
I'm Kyle Mater. I was Lance Corporal at 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines. I was in Weapons Company, 81 Platoon, and I guess we broke up. I was in Rainmaker, and then to break it down even more, I was in 1st Squad under Sergeant Garcia. And then my
Nice.
team leader was Corporal Fernandez.
Oh,
Nice.
perfect. Yeah.
That's
So,
good.
Bernie
yeah.
was one of our earlier conversations. So
Yep, yeah, I listened to that one. But so I think in our team, it was Fernandez was the team leader. Savage was our gunner in the beginning. Then it was me, Luna, Ackles. I think that was it. I know at one point we were in a truck with Holm was our driver and Hurley was the gunner until we got blown up and they left. But yeah, and I joined the battalion near the end of that Oki deployment. So I got there on ship. I can't remember where. I don't remember. But I remember.
oh, you
going
actually came. You came on to the ship.
Yep. Yeah, we came on ship. So that was quite the experience.
Oh, I bet.
No one was wearing blouses, so I know no one's rank. I called everyone sergeant until they corrected me. I remember getting yelled at by Gunny Coleman for saying Roger that Gunny, and he started yelling at me about Roger Rabbit or something. I don't know. But yeah, coming on ship was interesting, not knowing anyone.
How did that happen? Did they? Were we at port? I don't. I have the vaguest of memory that we did pick up some people while underway, but were we out at sea or did we?
No, I think we were in Sasebo.
That was I was going to say, we picked up, I think it was you and Holm and a couple other people in Sasebo. Right?
I was after Holm and Hansen. It was me, Luna, Martinez. I'm trying to think. There was a bunch that came to Weapons Company, like Groves. God, I can't remember half of them, the names anymore. But there was like 20 of us that came to Weapons Company.
Yeah.
So we came with that's Sergeant Sergeant McCorman. My God, I'm brain farting on his name. He was in one of the MAP platoons. Tall, skinny, lanky guy.
Anthony?
Anthony, yep. Sergeant Anthony. He came over at the same time as us.
Yeah. So that was like the last 4 months, maybe 5 months of the deployment.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, you still had a lot of months in Okinawa, but not not the full 12.
No, not the full 12, but
Yeah, that would have been like March, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, it was March because I remember being in on Pendleton just before, and it was Staff Sergeant Baptiste or something, Saint Baptiste.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like the stay behind, and he read out like the message from Mattis when they crossed into Iraq, and then we deployed to you guys right after that. So, and that was like March 11 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I got a decent memory of some of the stuff.
Yeah. I forgot about that guy. Baptiste. Man, what company was? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I was there for the whole workup before Iraq and March Air Force Base and all that. I think Gunny Marquez doing a lot of like advanced shooting packages and stuff like that. That was pretty helpful. And then, all the different trainings that we did. So
what do you remember of any? I mean, other than the advanced shooting pack, did you go to any division schools or anything like that, or were you sticking around?
No, I didn't go to any schools. I don't think nothing that I can remember. Actually, I know we went to that MOUT town out by Edson Range a few times. We hiked back from there one time too. That was in the middle of the night. That was interesting. But we did a lot of like room clearance stuff. Little different than when we do things these days now. Yeah, so that was kind of cool. And then
tactics advance over 20 years.
Yeah. And then we did something. They set up different stations around kind of Camp Pendleton, I remember. And one of them was at like some little smaller mountain town out by SOI in like their backyard.
And then doing that one,
like going through in trucks. And I remember we were role players for one of them over in, it wasn't Orno, but somewhere else where there's another infantry battalion or regiment. But yeah, and then I remember March Air Force Base. that was kind of cool. I remember we were on some patrol doing, I don't remember what exactly we were doing, and we're like watching the enemy, and then everyone's like, where the fuck is everyone going? Well, it was the Super Bowl, and they had told everyone but us, like, hey, we're done for the day. So we're still out like sitting in an ambush on this patrol, like nothing's going on. And then finally Lieutenant Dobb was like, all right, let's get the fuck out of here.
That's too funny.
But I also remember at March Air Force Base, we had the miles gear and it wasn't working right. I remember getting killed a bunch of times, and I look at my miles gear and it would tell you how you died. And it was killed by naval gunfire. I got that one a couple times.
That was the God gun. That was the instructors would shoot you with the God gun. Yeah.
Well, ours was just going nuts, I remember. And there would be no one around. We wouldn't find one of the instructors with the gun for like an hour or two. It's like, hey man, reset me. Naval gunfire got me. So that was but March Air Force Base is kind of cool. I remember we had the Royal Marines were there, and I'll never forget the guy's name was Major Pritchett, I think. Hanson kept making fun of the guy's accent, so it's pretty funny. Remember, he's always like bomb burst out of the firm base, but he never actually did that.
Yeah,
but it was good. I mean, like didn't put patrols and pieing shit off, and I mean, I think we did a lot of that stuff. But
I forgot about the bomb burst tactic because again, they were sharing all the stuff they learned.
Yep.
Doing SASO missions with the Irish against the North Irish.
Yep.
And they were worried about snipers because Irish snipers were lethal, especially during all of their troubles that they had. And that was their thing, is when they ran out, everybody just ran in all directions out of the gate. And so we practiced. I remember practicing. Man, I hadn't thought about that in 20 years either. That was stupid as shit. And we never did that because we were in trucks the whole damn time.
Yeah. Well, one thing that stands out I remember about that is they had these sweet fucking boots. They were more like sneakers than boots. And I'm like, man, I want those. I want a pair of those. Like the shit we were in is so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'll never forget his boots he wore. But yeah, all right. Yeah, I remember the flight over was in I think it was old C-141s, which became obsolete not too long after we flew in them. But I remember getting to March Air Force Base to fly out, and I was like, no fucking way this is what we're flying on. And sure shit it was. And they had us so packed in the back there. I got lucky, and I was like on first. So I was right next to Captain Weiler for the flight all the way over, from all the stops all the way over, I think all the way over. Maybe not across the ocean, but maybe, I don't remember. So I was sitting next to him the whole time. So I actually had like decent leg room on the first couple flights that we had. And I remember when I think it was after Bangor, Maine, and but right before we turned back to McGuire Air Force Base in New Jersey, one of the Air Force guys came. So I knew what was going on because everyone's sleeping, and I feel the plane like make this weird movement, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? And I was like that, and I look around, and everyone's sleeping except for me and Captain Weiler, and some Air Force guy comes over talking about the engines, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then fucking Captain Weiler looks at the guy and goes, well, we're amphibious. And I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. I didn't realize he was fucking around at the time. So then, obviously we turned back, because up to the pilots, we turned back and went to New Jersey. And then over the flight overseas, well, hold on. In New Jersey, we were there for like 4 or 5 days, weren't we?
It was a while.
Yeah.
Because I remember they had us in that airport, and then they put us in like lodging, because it wasn't barracks. But so I did 16 years in the Air Force Reserves after the Marines. So I've done to some different schools in the Air Force, and there's no barracks. Like in the Marine Corps, if you go to like a school, you're staying in barracks. No, the Air Force puts you up in like, it kind of reminds you of barracks, but it's a hotel kind of. So we stayed in like Air Force lodging over at McGuire. I remember going to the commissary in Regalsburger, buying pitchers of beer and sneaking around, pounding as much beer as he possibly could. I remember sneaking a couple myself too,
but that's awesome.
See, my memory is that we only, did we even sleep in those rooms though? Like, I feel like we finally got issued them, but then like immediately left.
Yeah, I think we were there
but maybe
for at least one night for sure, maybe 2 nights, but at least one night for sure, because I remember that. I remember sleeping in the bed. And then I know some guys got to go to the bowling alley, I think, one night. I wasn't 21, so I didn't get to do that. So
Okay. I
yeah,
think I might have been like on some sort of watch or something like that because I don't remember.
yeah.
Like maybe I had to stay with the gear, like was overseeing gear
So
watchers.
I
Anyways, it
remember
doesn't matter.
because I think like Ackles was saying, I think Ackles and I think maybe Akers. They're the two newest ones we got because we got them at March Air Force Base. They stayed at the airport the whole time with watching all our gear and shit. I felt bad for those two guys. Kind of. I mean, they're boots, so we didn't really care about them too much. But yeah, then eventually we flew over to Germany, but then I got packed in the middle, and that was the most uncomfortable flight in the world. That was awful, just horrible. There's no room to the left or right. You're putting your legs between the guy's legs in front of you, like crisscrossing them or overlapping them. That was miserable. I did not enjoy that at all. But I remember when we finally landed in Kuwait and we got on those buses, we went to like, I think it was called Camp Wolverine for like some welcome to the Middle
Yep.
East kind of thing.
Yep.
But I remember we were riding, and I can't remember if we were riding buses there or afterwards to Camp Victory. But I remember it being hot as shit on the bus. Like we're sweating, and I'm like, oh my God, is this what it's going to be like in Kuwait? This is miserable. Well, the driver had the heat cranked up. So we got off the bus. I'm like, oh, it's kind of chilly out. But I thought it was going to be a million degrees like it was on that fucking bus because that driver, God, I couldn't stand that guy.
But he was probably cold because
Yeah.
it was the middle of morning for them,
Yeah.
and so he was probably cold at it was 65 degrees out or
Yeah, it was
whatever.
perfect for us.
Yeah. But to him, he was Kuwaiti or whatever he was. He was Indian, and
Yeah,
and so he was fucking probably
A lot of
freezing.
those guys were Filipino. They're
Yeah,
not Filipino, Indonesian. There we go. That's the word I was
yeah.
looking for.
yeah.
But I remember we were at Victory for what, 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that.
Somewhere around there. Yeah. We left March Air Force Base on February 14th. There's a chunk of time that's missing, however many days we were in New Jersey, and the day or two we spent in Germany or whatever it was while they fixed the plane.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, Germany. I remember we were in some like 2-story USO because we couldn't leave there. We were just laying on the ground the whole time. Because it seemed like it was like right on the flight line almost, some USO thing. They had a bunch of free shit, I remember that. And
I never got to get any of that. I ended up just
really?
staying in the fucking hangar. Yeah, I don't remember why. A couple of our guys were sick. We were trying to figure out what to do with them. We were actually discussing trying to drive them to a local hospital. Like there's a whole bunch of other stuff. But anyway, they got real sick.
Oh shit. Yeah, so at Camp Victory, I remember God, there was that army dump site. I don't remember what it was called where we scavenged all their shit from. I remember going there looking for stuff all the time in the big dumpsters. But then I think it was me. It was either me and Savage or me. It was me and someone else. We went driving around to like different army tents. We didn't know what half their acronyms meant. Like, cause we needed like batteries for the Humvee or something. And we just started walking into random tents asking people like, where can we find stuff? And then they're like, oh, if you bring us a battery, we'll give you a battery. So we got new batteries for I think most of the platoon Humvees that way. And then we just went joyriding in the Humvees around the base for a little bit. That was kind of fun. I do remember we played. What was that football game we played? 81s played, Blake. It was like it wasn't two-hand touch, it was like two-hand shove, but it got like out of hand. And
Oh man, I forgot.
it got like really out of hand. It was like first section versus second section, and it got super out of hand. And Staff Sergeant Cook like screamed and yelled at us, went to Lieutenant, he goes, hey sir, they got a lot of energy, we're gonna go for a run. And then he ran us forever.
Oh, he ran us hard dicks into the dirt. He just
it's like, shit.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Oh, I won't forget that. Oh yeah, that was brutal. But so I was on the convoy. I think from when we left into Ramadi, I was on the convoy. It was me and Martinez were in a Humvee. He was a driver. And I think we were attached to it's either Fox or Gulf Company. I can't remember which one.
If you were in the same stick as me, it was golf.
Yep.
No. Maybe it was Echo. I think, yeah, because I had a buddy, Randy Hale, who was in Echo, and he was with us. So it was Echo Company. And I think they took all our armor out the side of our Humvee. Armor, the quarter-inch steel on the side. And we had those 3-quarter doors still.
Yeah.
And we didn't know what we were getting into. We had I didn't have a worry in the world at the time. But we went up to like, I remember it was called like Training Area Alpha or Staging Area Alpha. And we like sat there for like 24 hours, like to cool down or something like that. And I remember we just it was like, I remember it was me and Holm, Martinez. I can't remember who Holm's A driver was. But anyways, we kind of sat there. We were in the middle of nowhere in the desert. We sat there after we released for like the 24-hour, 20-hour cool down period. We sat there and like in the evening on like fold out chairs and just chain smoked cigarettes for like, I mean, I chain smoked the whole pack, I'm pretty sure. And then more people started gathering, but we just sat there and just chain smoked cigarettes until we went to bed eventually, until it got too dark out. But yeah, so I remember, yeah, then we left that place and then went into Iraq. And then we stopped at, God, I think it was called Navstar, where we stopped.
Navstar was the name of the company. The checkpoint was called Scania, is what the name of it was.
Oh yeah. So I kept a journal when I was in Iraq the whole time. So I've been reading that the last couple of weeks. So yeah,
I did not remember the Navstar company, but it was a private contractor group that like resupplied and refueled shit, and they like all the big. I mean, they look like semi trucks, whatever the fuck they're called. They're military semi trucks, and they would fix those things.
Oh, okay. Now, I remember we stopped for gas once for like, it must have been like underground tanks. And I can't remember if that was before or after we stopped at some, I guess you could call it a base that we parked for the night. So I remember there was a PX there and there was a couple different convoys there. And I remember, cause I didn't have a folding chair at the time. I remember walking over to an army convoy and we stole like 5 or 6 folding chairs that they had just sitting on the hoods of their Humvees.
Tactically acquired.
Yeah, sure. However you want to say it. Because it was me and I can't remember who I was walking with. And we're like, those fucking idiots left a bunch of folding chairs there, like nice ones too. So we took them all.
The number of stories of Marines stealing from the Army, I always wondered if the Army had like a field manual of like how to protect your shit from Marines. Because like if they left anything out, we wrapped it.
Took it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I don't remember exactly too much of the convoy except for those stops. And then I remember there was an army guy because we walk around with our rifle slung all the time. He was walking around with an M60 slung. And I just remember, I'll never forget that. It just was like, that's interesting. But yeah, so then we convoyed and eventually made it to Junction City. I don't remember many other stops along the way after that one night. I do remember Martinez and I chain smoking the whole convoy though. Mm-hmm. There was that like heater little lip between the windshield and the cab, and a pack of cigarettes would fit in there snug, just perfect.
Yes, it did.
And we just ripped the top off and we just chain smoked cigarettes the whole convoy. But I remember we meeting Gunny Meraki at Junction City, and then we went over to Hurricane Point. We're like,
I forgot that we went to Junction City first before we went over.
Yeah. And then I remember we getting to Hurricane Point and we're like, what the fuck? Not super impressed. I mean, I knew we weren't going to be getting anything nice, but I was like, oh shit, the fucking like canvas roofs on these hooches.
Yeah.
But so we got there. We were there a couple days before the rest of the company got there. I don't remember how long. It was at least 1 or 2 nights. Because I remember doing Firewatch one night and there's only like 10 or 12 of us from there was only like 10 or 12 of us from 81s and we were all in one hooch. But I remember we went out with I remember hearing people talk about like the Florida Guard and then the airborne was out there. We definitely had an airborne guy that we were with when we did a couple, I guess you could call it patrols through the city, but driving just fast. Yeah, we didn't learn much from that guy. Basically, like, don't stop. That's what he said.
Yeah.
And then, then eventually the rest of the company got there, and that was interesting. I remember we had to dig out the shitter lines from the hooch because they got all clogged up, and that sucked because they're all jammed full of toilet paper. So then we couldn't use the shitters in the hooch anymore. Mm-hmm. And then we had those porta potties, but yeah, I don't know. I remember the first big mission we did was some big cordon search. We staged at like combat outposts, and then we went out all day long. I remember I found a Saddam bill, like one of their dollar bills with his face on, just in a trash pile.
The Iraqi dinar, yeah.
Yeah. I got a couple of those actually. I bought one off some kid, and I found a couple just laying on the ground. That was kind of cool. I remember we found some lady using a deck cord for a clothesline.
Yes.
We took that down and gave her 550 cord to put up. Or I think
Yep.
it was a lady. I don't remember.
It
But
was
yeah, I remember nothing really happened on that. That was like our first big one, I think, wasn't it?
that mission was on March 18th.
Yeah, I have it. I took some notes. I have it written down. Yeah, March 18th.
Mhm.
Yeah, I kept a journal not every day, but like, because some days I'll look at it and be like, hey, this date to this date, nothing happened. But like, I wrote a lot of shit down in there. It's quite long.
Nice.
Yeah,
Really
I wish I
cool.
was a little more mature when I was writing that shit than I was back then, but whatever.
I don't know. I bet it's funny, and I bet
It is.
It's
Yeah.
probably very telling of the time frame as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I've got dates and everything in there. It's interesting looking back. I haven't read it in ever until just recently, so it's kind of interesting.
If you ever want to like take some take some photos of it and send it
Yeah.
over. I would love to read it over, man.
Yeah. I mean, I bought a digital camera before we left. And so I had it in my cargo pocket the whole deployment, and I took hundreds of pictures. I got two huge photo albums, probably because some didn't all turn out, but I got like 400 or 500 pictures in these photo albums. I go through those actually quite a bit. So
That's cool.
Yeah, I took a lot of pictures.
Do you still have the digital copies?
No, I looked around for that and I
Mhm.
couldn't find them.
Hmm.
I was looking through a box a few weeks ago. I still had the camera, but the SD card or whatever, that's long gone. I
Interesting.
have no idea where that's. I just threw the camera out and I'm like, I don't need this shit anymore.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it is 1/10 of the capability of any modern cell phone anyway.
It was like 3 megapixels. Woo, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, yeah. So I remember, I think not too long after we went on that week at guard, because it was like, what was it? Day taskable, day QRF, night taskable, night QRF, and then you're on guard and then the recess or whatever.
Right.
I remember we played a game on the tower. 'Cause I did almost all my posts on, I think, the South Tower.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. The one closest to Junction City.
Yep.
Right.
North
Yeah.
Bridge and South Bridge. South Bridge would
Bridge,
be the closest one between us and Junction City.
Yeah. So I did almost all mine. I did a few on the North Bridge, but mainly the South Bridge is what I was always on. Because the Army had a post on the other end of the dam or whatever that was.
Mhm.
I remember one night they got hit with a rocket and we went running down there and they we're fine. Like, oh shit, we thought you were all dead. But they were up there for 24 hours, they said, where we did like 2 4-hour posts.
Gross.
Something. But we had these spotlights. I don't know where we got them from. And we'd play a game up on the tower. And it was at night, because I think curfew was like 11 p.m., wasn't it?
Something like
That
that.
was, I think it was earlier than that.
Was
but
it
yeah.
earlier? Okay.
10:30.
I
So
think it was
remember
early. Yeah.
there were certain hours on the bridges where we had 3 Marines instead of just the 2. So that I do remember. But anyways, we played a game where if you got a car to stop with the spotlight, you got 1 point. If you got them to get out of the car, you got 2 points. And then everyone got a turn. It's stupid shit like that, but it passed the time. Well,
That's good.
so I don't remember who we replaced on guard, which map platoon. But I remember when we got up there, I think it was like me and Bowers or someone, and they had the 240 on the tripod, and they had like taped up to the bar. Like if you connected the pistol grip to the, I don't remember what that shit's called anymore on the tripod, but it slides it back and forth, or side to side.
Yeah.
Like and I'm like, what's with the tape? And he goes, oh, it's your left and right lateral limits. I'm like, all right. And so I was moving it around, and well, what if someone's shooting at me from over there? He goes, well, I'm like, well, this is stupid. Like, why? So as soon as he left, I cut that tape off and fuck that.
That's interesting.
There was one day where I think Bowers engaged that build. You could see it from both North Bridge and South Bridge. There was that building. I think eventually a javelin was fired at it, but I think we engaged that building. It's an abandoned building. I think we engaged that with a 240 one day because Bowers and I got shot at up there one of the days we were on guard duty later on in the deployment. But yeah, anyways, I got some looking at my notes. I don't have much in my journal or that I can remember up until April 6th. We didn't, like, at least with the Rainmaker, there wasn't a whole lot that I remember. Like, so we hadn't been, I don't think we'd been hit by an IED yet. And so we weren't, I remember not being like too concerned about IEDs until we got hit by one. Then it was like the scariest fucking thing ever. And then I think I eventually got hit a total of 4 or 5 different times in different Humvees that I was in, which sucked. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know how many concussions I got, but I know at least for sure 2. Because I was in the one that when Holman Hurley got hit, I was in the Humvee when Savage got hit. And I know there's a couple more. But anyways, but
Yeah, it's weird because I remember feeling that way somewhat. We had heard about IEDs. We did that IED training at March Air Force Base. We even did another like 2-minute IED training in Kuwait that was very short. But I didn't have any concept of what it was. But I mean, just to give you like a quick rundown, which how ridiculous that kind of is. I mean, we got there March 6th. By March 13th, McPherson had his jaw blown off by an IED. Worth had his eye blown out by an IED on the 20th.
yeah.
Let's see. Echo Company got hit by a big IED on the 25th. Echo Company's first KIA to an IED was on the 30th.
Jeez.
Like, yeah, like we were getting some pretty heavy casualties to IEDs
Yeah.
early, and it's funny. I remember having the same thing. I got hit early by an IED. I got wounded on the reason why I remember your raid on the 18th is because we were your outer cordon, and I got hit by an IED at 0 dark 30 on the 18th on the way to that raid.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, and we went and saw the battalion surgeon and got 0 sleep and went right out to that raid all bandaged up. So, yeah, it became very real very fast.
Yeah, yeah. Cause we didn't. I think the first time I got hit with an IED was, I think it was Holman Hurley when they got wounded. I think that was the first one. Like my actual truck got hit. We may have been hit prior to that, or they just missed, or nothing happened. But the first time we got casualties, I think, was that one.
That's like end of April, right?
Yeah, I think I got it written down here.
I thought it was like 2 weeks before Savage.
Yeah,
something like that.
It was definitely before him. I can't.
That was my memory, is that it was right around the same time that we were all getting talked about the prisoner release. That's what I remember in my brain. So Abu Ghraib happened, and there was all those pictures of all the army people doing the weird shit with the naked dudes.
Yeah, I
and
remember that.
then they were like, we're gonna open the prisons and let everybody out that we don't have evidence on. And then all of our contact went up, like all of our IEDs and everything went up exponentially right around that time, and it was at the end of April.
Makes sense. Yeah, I got written down here. May 1st is when we got hit. Both Holman Hurley got wounded.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, I guess talk about April 6th then.
Sure, man.
Yeah. That I don't remember exactly what time we went out, but I know we went out later on. At least Rainmaker went out later on in the engagement. And then looking at my journal, it was kind of like we were going from one spot to the other. We didn't really get any contact at first, and then we went out to man, the road's brain for it's in the Sofia area. I think that road on like
Raceway.
Which
The
one?
racetrack. Nova racetrack.
Nova, that's the one. So we went out there by the tank graveyard.
Yep.
And I remember seeing some dudes in green camis. I think that was the snipers. And like some of them were like, crying or whatever. And I remember giving a dip to one of the dudes. And then we dismounted. That might have been, I can't remember if this is before or after. But anyways, at one point, we dismounted. And as soon as I got down off the Humvee, it was like, I think it was either me and Fernandez or me and Luna were like maybe 3 feet apart, and a tracer went right past our heads, right between the two of us. And then I remember we started taking fire from like the tree line or out in that field. And dude, I'll tell you, it was pretty fucking cool because we had like most of the company online on that road, and like every Marine ran to the side, every turret turned that way. And it was just like nonstop firing for, I don't remember how long. I think I went through like, I didn't even see any enemy. I just went through like 3 megs just shooting into the trees and into the grass. I think I might have saw one guy. And then once he was down, then it was just, I just kept shooting until everyone else stopped shooting. I remember looking down, I'm like, oh shit, I got like 3 empty megs at my feet. I know we pulled some bodies out of the field there.
Yep.
And then we went, I think so. Then we went down and we got I don't remember who was with us, but I know at least Rainmaker and I think someone else. We got online and like pushed towards the river and then wagon wheeled, and I was on the far right, and I saw some dude in a green shirt like pop up not too far from the river, and it's one of my biggest regrets is not shooting that guy in the fucking face. Because I called it out, once we moved over there, laying there was his rifle and his mag pouches. And then we followed his footprints to the river. And I was like, God damn it. That one really pissed me off that I didn't take that shot.
But, I'm sure we got him later.
Yeah, probably. Uh-huh. But then, and I can't remember if this was before or after, but eventually we went, I think, a little further in, still in that same area, but away from the river. And I remember we linked up with one of the MAP platoons, and I don't remember which one, but I remember we were at the end of some road. It was me and Fernandez and some car, like one of those white and orange taxis or whatever they were, Opals or something.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, came like around a corner blasting an AK out the window. And I remember unloading on that car, and then it crashed. I think everyone in there got shot. Me and Fernandez shot that shit out of that car. And then it crashed into a wall, and they're all dead in there. But I remember I had... it was me and Regal earlier on had found the ammo like trailer or something, and we took a shit ton of tracer rounds. So I had like every fifth round of mine was a tracer, and then I had like 3 or 4 or 5 at the bottom of my mag as tracers. I just remember seeing just unloading on this car and just seeing every now and then a tracer hitting that car, and I don't know, that just like burned into my memory. But yeah, I think we unloaded Fernandez and I did on that car, and then I think there's 2 or 3 dudes in there, but they were dead. And then, yeah, I think that was first, and then we went over by the river. I can't remember exactly, but I remember we loaded up some bodies in our Humvee that we'd shot from the field and brought them. I think we dumped them at some IP station or whatever. I can't remember exactly, but oh yeah, so yeah, that was definitely the river thing was definitely later, because I remember when we were pushing online, we found some Marine from Echo Company laying in the field because I remember just hearing someone yell out like "devil dog, devil dog, devil dog." I'm like, what the fuck? And some dude like I saw like a Kevlar pop up. We're like, holy shit! I forgot about that. Yeah. So I can't remember who that was. It was a sergeant, I think.
Yeah. So specifically, it was your platoon linked up with my platoon, MAP 2. And we were just at the junction at the end of the road in the Sofia district. Wasn't even technically Nova at that point. And we linked up. You guys had, I don't know. It sounds like you were in the high back.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and Riegelsberger was driving, and you guys had a couple of, I think you had captured them from somewhere. I don't know where the fuck you had them, but there's a couple of enemy in the back here. One was alive, one was dead. That was all I know. And they were in the back of the high back. And I don't remember where you guys went. By the time I got out there, you guys had already ran off. But we linked up and we had mostly squashed the ambush, but we got contact from the rear, which I think is what you were talking about with the tracer going by your head. We had just got you guys. So now we had 40 or 50 people.
Yeah.
And there was at least like a good 10 or 15 shooting at those. It wasn't that many people, maybe 6, 7 dudes that had that counter assault behind us. They got taken down. We moved forward and we got to where the snipers were pinned down at the pump house. And we all did, like you said, the wagon wheel thing. We went further, and that's where the Echo Company guys were pinned down on the roof of that building.
Yep. I remember that building.
Yeah, it was the QRF that was all trapped there.
Yeah.
And then there was an IED just a little further down the road. And so we didn't go any further. And the Army Bradleys were on the other side of it. And they finally figured out how to get around it, or they shot the IED. I don't know what they did. Anyway, they finally linked up with us.
I think, wasn't there some dude from Echo like held out in a pump house, like those pump houses they had? Yes. I vaguely remember some guy in there with like, he had spent brass all around him or something like that.
Yes.
I like vaguely have a memory of that.
Yeah, spent brass around him and about 8 or 9 dead bodies. Yeah. He had definitely done the Alamo out there by himself.
Yeah, I think I either gave him a cigarette or a chew. I can't remember. Because Sergeant G wouldn't let us smoke when we were outside the base, so everyone who smoked also dipped. So those pockets we had in our shoulders, I had a pack of cigarettes in one and a can of chew in the other.
Nice.
Well, because at least in Rainmaker, almost I think everyone in the platoon smoked. I I'm trying to think. I can't think of one person that didn't smoke. I think later on, no, Corporal Minor, he smoked too. Because we
Oh
got
yeah.
Minor as the
Minor
gunner.
smoked probably from birth. Yeah, he
Yeah.
always smoked. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think there might have been one person that didn't, but I think everyone smoked because we took a picture in front of battalion headquarters with all of us sitting there with a cigarette in our mouth.
Yep.
And so, dude, it's crazy. A lot of these pictures I see floating around on Facebook and shit, I'm like, that's from my camera because I have the actual physical picture still in my photo album. So some of those, I don't know how they got out. I must have sent it to someone at some point and just kind of made the way. Like that one of Savage holding that big 50 cal thing.
Yeah.
I took that picture. I have it in my photo album.
Nice.
But yeah, anyways.
When we first
yeah.
got back, there was, and I don't remember the exact how we did it, but we all like we went over to, remember there was like this what was it? It was a pavilion on back. We're back in San Mateo now, but there's like a pavilion down on like the lower basketball court. It was off to the left there.
Yep.
We got together and everybody shared their pictures, and so like it was like there was we had it set. It was, I can't remember exactly how it was, but like, because this was before like really flash drives even, and so like I can't remember how we did it exactly, but I had a digital camera, for example, and then I know because I went down and traded some of mine, and I have like a bunch. I have some of yours. I have some from Groves. I have some from.
Okay, makes sense.
And so
I don't remember that at all. But yeah, so April 6th. Yeah, I don't remember too much after all that. Once the shooting died down, I think we were out there for a while just doing like security or patrols or something. But I remember being off Nova or whatever it was before it was Nova. And I was on like pushed out towards kind of closer to the river.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it's getting dark out. I don't have my night vision with me. Because before that, like, it's a day patrol. I'm not bringing my night vision with me. I'm going to tell you, after that day, because I'm sitting there in the pitch black, and I'm like the furthest one out, I always brought my night vision with me after that. I had like two little bags. I had one, and I clip them in the Humvee. I had my night vision, and they're both night vision bags, those green ones we used to have.
Yeah.
I had one full of like with a neck gaiter in it and some like maybe some snacks or whatever. And I had one with my night vision. So they always came with me. Every patrol we went on after that, whether it was in the morning or at night, I always brought that night vision. And I had the PVS 14 monocle. Oh yeah. So I had an ACOG right off the bat. There was there was only like, I think throughout the whole battalion prior to getting deployed, there was only like 20 dudes that got ACOGs.
You had to go and shoot that special course and qualify, and you had to hit, it was like 95 out of 100 targets or whatever it was, just to be able to get one. Yeah.
Yeah, we had the I think they started with guys that were like second award expert with the rifle, and then we went through some course with the battalion gunner.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember someone from weapons company was too close, and when they fired it, the ACOG split their eyebrow because they're bleeding all over the place. I can't remember who that was, but yeah. So I got lucky, and I had the ACOG right off the bat, which was nice.
Cool.
I fucking loved that thing. That thing was awesome. So then they gave us all the monocle PVS 14 over I think everyone in Rainmaker had 7 Bravos. Well, I was so glad I had the monocle. It was so much better. But so I always brought that out with me after that April 6th. I always had it with me. But yeah, so I think then at some point we eventually just went back to Hurricane Point, and I think the next day obviously was the 7th, and I think I was outside smoking with Bowers, and we see the Lieutenant Dobb come over. We're like, oh shit, because every time we saw him walking over to our hooch from the company hooch, it's like we knew something was going on, or we were doing something. So we just were like, we going out? He's like, yeah, because you could hear the gunfire and shit going off in the city. So I think we went out to support Gulf Company, a foot patrol of theirs that was in a firefight. And then I know some guys have talked about it, but we got on the way there, we got ambushed by like an RPK or RPD, I don't remember. And I was in the first Humvee with Regal driving. Lieutenant Dobb was the A driver, vehicle commander. Savage was on the 240, and he had a shield. That he was the only vehicle of ours that had the shield in the front. Because I actually have a picture where some rounds hit the shield and he's pointing at him. And then I was on the left side of the Humvee. It was me. So from cab to tailgate, it was Luna, me on the bench, and then Fernandez, I think, and then Ackles. And I think Ackles was still a PFC. I'm pretty sure because he was super new. So as soon as we were about to make I think like a left-hand turn, as soon as right when that ambush kicked off, Regal slammed on the brakes. I flew in that little corner with Luna, and then and after listening to Ackles' interview, it makes a little more sense. I thought Ackles just turned around and just unloaded on burst because that fucker, I yelled at him so much because he'd drive around with his rifle on burst. And I yelled at him a bunch to stop doing that after because I thought he just turned around and just unloaded on our armor because all I hear is rounds that I think are coming through the armor. And I'm like, this armor's shit. I'm going to fucking die. And Luna and I are all tangled up in that deep corner. And I can hear Savages blasting away when the 240. So I'm stuck, like I can't get up because my legs are tangled up with Luna. So I put my rifle over the armor and just unloaded a full mag as quick as possible. And I got myself off, untangled from Luna, slapped in a new mag, went around like the edge of at the back of the Humvee, still in the back, but went around the armor. And I looked into that little yard and there was some dude in a gray man dress, like crawling into the bushes. I remember I was like, that can't be good. And I just put 3 rounds in his back really, really quick. And then he was still crawling in and then just stopped and his legs were sticking out of the bushes. And I don't know, it burned in my memory. And then I think from the further down the platoon Humvees, Sergeant G and a couple dudes ran in. And then we stayed in the first Humvee. I don't remember if we dismounted or not. I know we were shooting the shit out of everything. So once we engaged, I think Marines went into that yard and then we were focused more on the intersection and the streets. I remember Fernandez either shot at some guy that was running towards us. I can't remember if he shot him or shot at him to stop him, or I don't remember. Savage was shooting every single car on the street, whether it was moving or parked. I think he shot every single one. That was actually kind of cool. And then so we did security there, and then the other Marines from the platoon went in and did whatever they did in there. And I just remember before we pulled out, we were all loading up, and then Sergeant G ran back to there was like a fence blocking that yard where the ambush came from, and he put his rifle over the fence and just fired a whole bunch of rounds at something. I don't know what. Then we loaded up and we were linked up with Gulf Company, and those guys, I think they were pretty low on ammo because we were hucking bandoliers of ammo to them, and they were just like sitting down reloading mags right off because we carried a ton of extra ammo in our Humvees in like bandolier form. And yeah, they just kept on loading mags right when we got there. Trying to think. I think we were engaged for so long that day. Some of it kind of is a little hate. I don't remember what the actual like chronological order, but I think Gulf had some wounded guy, and we were going to bring him back to combat outpost. And I think we were escorting the 7 tons. I remember we loaded him in the back of a 7-ton, and I'm like, and then we were about to load up, and I remember we're just going to leave this wounded dude in the Humvee. And then Lieutenant Dobb went to Doc Contreras, like, you want to be in the back of that Humvee? And he's like, yes, sir. And I swear I jumped in the back with Doc C to do security for him, but I honestly can't remember. I think I did, but I don't remember. And then we went back to combat outpost and dropped him off. And then, yeah, we just kept going back and forth, getting wounded Marines or getting more ammo. Funny thing I do remember is that Steve Leylong had eaten some like chicken or some meat on a foot patrol like a few days earlier, and he had the shits. So every time we went back to combat outpost, he was jumping off the back of the Humvee before they had stopped running to the shit. And I'm pretty sure he told me at some point during the day, he was on a roof, like laying on his side, spraying diarrhea during the middle of the firefight because he had the shits.
Dude, those days would be the worst days to have the shits. My God.
He had him bad that day.
I was busy.
Yeah. There was, I think we were on the racetrack at some point, and I got pictures of this because I'll never forget, but we dismounted and we were before that, we're moving up the road towards contact, and Lieutenant Dobb, I found this out later on, he sees a guy come around the corner with an RPG, He yells out, and we're going real slow. He yells, "Get down." I thought he yelled, "Get out." So I jumped out of the back of the Humvee, and I look, and the Humvee behind us is still slow rolling. And I turn and look at our Humvee, and I just see the guys like waving to come back. And this fucking RPG hits the ground like a few feet away from me, and it didn't blow up. And I was like, holy shit. I remember just running back to the Humvee, jumping in the air, and they caught me and pulled me into the back of the Humvee. I couldn't believe that. I thought I was a goner for sure. So eventually we moved up. I think it was the racetrack. I can't remember. It might have been near Easy Street too. But whatever, we dismounted and we're taking rounds from all over the place. So I ran over by the front right tire of our Humvee, and I was taking an E and engaging targets. And then Sergeant G yelled out like, "Hey, get in the prone." And I'll never forget, there was like a blue reflector right next to my face on the corner of that Humvee. I just remember seeing it out of my peripherals. So I lay down and I get in the prone, and then it, like a split second later, the reflector glass is like falling in front of me. And it wasn't until later that I looked up, and a round had come through the corner of the Humvee and went right out through that reflector. And if I had not taken a knee, it would have got me right in the face. And so I got pictures of that from the Humvee. It's like it wasn't until later on that I realized how close to getting killed I actually was. Because I remember when that reflector came down in front of me, or like the glass or whatever from it, Sergeant G jumped back. And I didn't realize what had happened at the time. But anyway, so I'm laying in the prone, and oh my God, I was dropped with the ACOG. I was dropping dudes left and right down that street, and they had those tick marks on it for different distance.
Yep.
I remember there's a dude way out there, and he was blasting with an AK, and I'm like, that looks like it's about 400 yards or feet, or I think it was feet or yards, wasn't it?
It was in yards. Yeah.
Yards. Okay. I mean, that looks like 400 yards. So I lined up the 400 perfectly on the dude and hit him twice right in the gut. And then I shot him again when he went down. I was like, holy shit, I couldn't believe that. They actually wrote an article about that in, I think, the Marine Corps Times, because we had those two combat correspondent females come out like a week or two later, and they wanted to do an article on the ACOG, so they actually interviewed me for that. They changed it to 800 yards, but whatever. It was actually 400 yards.
That's right.
But yeah, so we shot it up there for a while, and then at some point I think we linked up with some more dudes. Oh, before that, after I shot that guy, because Sergeant G was kind of spotting for me, and when I shot that dude way out there, he was like, "Fuck yeah!" And Lieutenant Dobbs was like, "Who's shooting at us?" And he's like, "Fucking no one. Mater fucking smoked him." And I was like, "Fuck yeah, that's pretty cool." But yeah, eventually I think we found our way over to Easy Street, and I remember, dude, there was so much going on, and there's quite a few, battalion resources out there. We had our Humvee and another Humvee like wedged down this road, or it might have been an alley. I just remember being on the armored door was open, and I was just sitting there with my rifle, and there was dudes coming out of these like alleyways and windows and doors, and because I was at the time, granted I was only 19 years old then, and a little more maybe morbid, but I was keeping track of how many people I shot. And I lost count down that alley. It was so many people were popping out or running across. And one dude came out with an RPG, took a knee in the middle of the street. I remember I don't know how many people shot him, but I definitely popped a couple of rounds at him. And his RPG went off into like a wall and blew up or whatever. I thought we were dead. Yeah. But yeah, so I remember, so I was running low on ammo because I only had the 6 magazines that they gave us. Yeah. And I remember Fernandez was sitting in the Humvee, and as I'm going through mags, he's taking them and reloading mags for me and putting them back in my in my mag pouches.
Nice.
But yeah, I remember there was 2 kids that like popped out of a doorway or alley or whatever. So I remember yelling up at Savage, like, "There's 2 kids on the left down there, like, don't shoot them." And he's like, yeah, I see him. And they probably early teens, not much more older than that. Well, those fucking kids popped out again. Now they got AKs and they're blasting at us. I was like, fuck. So it was, and this one kind of messed me up for a little bit until I like talked to someone about it. But like when they popped out again, I shot them. And I was like, because they popped out with the AK. I gave them like a second, third chance. So like, don't come out again. And finally they did. And I was like, well, they're shooting at me. So I shot, I think one or two of them. They both got shot. And I definitely shot one for sure. I don't know if I got the other, if someone else did. But that one kind of fucked me up for a little bit. And then until I went and talked to someone about it. And then it was like, whatever. They're shooting at me. So got to shoot at them. But so we were there for a little bit, shooting down that, quite a while, shooting down that alley. And then I don't remember too much what, I think we were in that area for a while, shooting it out. And I don't remember too much after that about,
So I'm curious, just again, you seem to have a really good memory.
yeah.
How much distance do you think you were covering, just approximately? Were you covering like 6, 7 blocks? Were you, how far did you guys move forward once you took contact?
Well, which time, I guess.
Well, kind of like what you're describing right now, where you're moving down this alley, either time.
We never moved the alley where we had the two Humvees parked on. We never went down the alley. We just stayed there, shot it out, and then eventually we moved on. But there was shooting going on all around us.
Yeah.
And it was that one road that was like 2 lanes with almost like a median. So I remember seeing those big palm tree husks laying in the road a couple times.
If it was the palm tree road, that was Easy Street. There was
Easy Street.
There was another road at the very south of the city. I don't remember the name of that road offhand, but it also looked that same way with a median in the middle.
Yeah, I'm almost positive. Okay, yeah. So I got in my notes here, Easy Street. So that must have been on Easy Street.
Yeah.
We didn't move a whole that I can remember too, and I could be completely wrong, but I don't remember moving too much during that.
Wait,
fire.
I mean, it doesn't sound like you needed to. Sounds like the enemy is coming to you. So.
Yeah, for sure they were. And I don't remember at what point during the day, it could have been before or after, but I remember because we went back to Combat Outpost a couple times doing either dropping off wounded Marines or getting more ammo. And it was like, I remember at one point we were driving back and I'm in the first Humvee and we had 4 or 5 high backs. I remember like as I'm reloading a magazine, I look around at all the Humvees and literally every gunner is shooting in some direction. Every Marine in the back of the Humvees is shooting in some direction. I'm like, this is fucking insane. Then I loaded my magazine and went back to shooting at targets because the rules of engagement, like how I remember it, they changed like throughout the day. It was like only shot if shot at, only shoot, and you can see the person shooting at you. Then it was like, okay, if it's a male with the AK, you can shoot at them. Then it was like any male dressed in black, you can shoot at. Then it was any male any male shoot at. And then later on it was like anyone in the city is fair game. Yep. That's I could be wrong, but that's kind of how I remember it, at least on that day. And that was insane because we'd be driving back and forth from Combat Outpost, just going through, firing so much all the time. It was nuts.
I imagine you can't estimate, but if you were to estimate about how many enemy you think you could see and engage, about how many do you think you saw in the between the 6th and the 7th?
I think, because I estimate on between the 6th and the 7th, because I lost count at 10 people I shot. I know I saw way more than that, but a lot of them I wasn't able to engage or someone else was engaging them.
Right, or you see them for a split second and it's, yeah.
Yeah, I think I shot between the 6th and the 7th, and I might be including the 10th on this too, because that was the other big fire. Yeah. I think I shot around 30 or 40 people in those 3 days. It was a lot. I remember the 7th was the majority of them. We shot so many people that day. It was insane. I remember lighting up one of the what they were dropping. Oh, an ambulance. They were dropping fighters off. I remember lighting up one of those.
The Red Crescent ambulances that they were using as reinforcement. Yep. Dudes would come piling out with big ammo cans and AKs and everything else.
Yeah, that was, because I remember someone got on the radio and was saying, we're shooting ambulances now. They were like, what the fuck? And like, well, they're dropping off fighters. Like, oh, good enough for me,
Yeah, they're using little motorcycles to reinforce. They're using ambulances.
The motorcycles, yep. I remember
and a lot of taxis.
Yeah, the taxis for sure. Well, I remember one day, or it was on the 7th, there was like an Iraqi police officer, but I mean, he was masked up shooting at us. I remember shooting him, and I think it was down that alley. We had the Humvees herringbone or whatever. I remember shooting that guy, but I'm like, it's fucking IP right there shooting at us. But I mean,
Oh yeah.
could have expected that. But I think there was a couple of the what were they called? ICDC, the Iraqi Civil Defense Corps, like in the camouflage.
Yep.
I know there was a couple of them out there. I know because they were all issued AKs and they had a big white letter painted on the stock of their rifles. I remember picking up a couple of those out there on one of the days we were shooting. I think it was the 7th, but I remember picking up their rifles a couple times. Like those motherfuckers. Because they were like right across the river from us at Hurricane Point, weren't they? Like they had a little base by Snake Pit.
There was 2 different, but yes, that was one of them. That was one of their bases.
I remember being on the bridges watching them like train drill. It was hilarious. But anyways, not to go too far off the 7th. Yeah, I remember at some point we went back to combat out. We went to combat outpost so many times I can't remember which time was which. But I think at the end of the day, because I got a pretty decent picture of everyone from our Humvee at the very end. It was like me, Lieutenant Dobb, Regal, and then Luna Savage, Ackles, and Fernandez. We had a pretty good like truck picture or whatever. I've seen that one online a couple of times, and then there was some random guy from Fox Company standing there, but because we eventually brought back a bunch of Fox Company Marines from Combat Outpost back to Sink Pit, and I think that was the end of the day. I couldn't tell you what time it was at all, but I know we had a bunch of captured weapons in the Humvee too that we dumped out later on at Combat Outpost. But yeah, I just remember it was like firefights all day long. It was nuts.
Yeah, I always found that interesting because looking at your account and then my own personal experience and talking to some people from Map 3 and some of the dudes from Golf Company and Echo Company, they ended up putting our official casualty numbers at like somewhere between 500 to 600 and of enemy KIA. And I was like, I find that hard to believe. I'm not saying it's impossible. I just find it hard to believe because there's numerous stories just like yours where I know for sure we're talking about a Marine who took 20, 30, 40, 50,
I feel
maybe
like it's
more.
higher than that.
It probably is. Yeah. I don't know if you noticed as much as the enemy TTPs they were dragging the bodies off and hiding them. And like if you did bound forward, you didn't find the body. You found evidence of death. Sometimes there were body parts there, but there were not bodies. Like they were gone.
Yeah. Well, I remember on one, I can't remember if it was the 6th or the 7th, but we were driving around and oh man, who was that dude? He was a Mark 19 gunner he used to spray paint cars on his turret, on the shield on his turret.
Oh, I don't know.
I can see Brown. Was it Brown?
Oh yeah. That sounds like Brown.
Yeah, Brown. Because eventually someone made him spray paint over it. But I remember linking up with whatever map platoon he was in, and dude, there was a dude he hit with a Mark 19 round that was like blown apart. Like that was like that's gnarly. Like holy shit.
Yeah.
Was, like some house was on fire that he lit up with the Mark 19. I can't remember if that was the 6th or the 7th, but I'll never forget that. I mean, it was like you could see the destruction made from the Mark 19 all over the place. I'm like, we're in it now, man. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But I remember getting back to Hurricane Point that evening, and oh man, was it Forky was Forky his name in Sledgehammer?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like outside tanning, reading a book, and he's like, what's going on out there today? Like all I hear is explosions and gunfire. I was like, dude, I don't even know what to tell you. I was like, it's fucking nuts out there.
No, we were on camp guard that way.
Yeah.
during all of that. And so there was,
So no. I got lucky having that ACOG where I got a lot of like distance shots on dudes that day that probably thought they were maybe safe or whatever. But like I'd see them poke out of a window or something, and I just set up on that window, and they didn't have the greatest tactics, so they'd come out the exact same window, and then I'd pop them in the face or center mass or wherever. But Gunny Merarkey gave me a nickname later on the 7th when we were back at we were in the smoke pit that we built, and he came up and called me the Fuchsia Feather, a nod to Carlos Hathcock, who was the white feather. So I thought that was pretty funny because he had heard a couple stories of me shooting dudes at distance. But
so
That's awesome.
so as a side note on that topic with the ACOGs, and you may or may not know this story, but Marines being issued ACOGs in that time frame actually created an investigation on the Marines in our larger AO, because when we gave you the ACOG, we had so many more headshots that they thought we were executing people.
Yep.
And it was just that we had become so lethal because we had all learned off of iron sights, right? And so now you give us modern optics, we were just fucking canoeing people all over the place. And it was actually Fallujah that specifically got investigated, but it wasn't that we were executing people. It was just that it went from 10% headshots to 90. Anyways,
that ACOG was a game changer for sure.
Well, I eventually got one, and it was very appreciated. It was very appreciated.
I think everyone had one at some point. I think Sergeant Garcia was the only one that didn't want one. I think he kept his iron sights the whole deployment.
If you like what you've heard, this is a multi-part episode. Make sure you listen to the rest of the story.